Welcome to the Afterthought Sports Podcast. I'm Curtis Cardwell, and it is October 19th, 2018. We're going to finish up our part two of the NFL Week 7 picks. I think we have 5 or 6 games left to still go over. We're also going to talk about a little bit about what happened last night on Thursday Night Football between the Arizona and Broncos. It was also LeBron's debut for the Lakers. And the great one himself wasn't great enough to get us past Portland away. So, good luck, LeBron. It's gonna be a longer season than you think. I think a lot of guys didn't look so great. Rondo did not look great. Damian Lillard did his thing. McCollum did their thing. Portland was looking strong still. People get down on Portland a lot, and I don't know why. They got a strong squad they got put together. But let's talk about last night where Josh Rosen got his shit pushed in. Got his shit pushed in real good. Remember that movie, Training Day? For my money, that's one of the most epic scenes ever, hands down. But yeah, Josh Rosen got fucked up. He got fucked up bad. And in doing so, all of my picks were absolutely incorrect. Pre-game, as we talked over the game, there was, a lot of things kind of tilting to maybe Arizona wasn't going to just completely fall apart like they did. They kept it close, playing a lot of games and a lot of tough teams in the last few weeks. And on the other side, the Broncos have just looked awful for, weeks and weeks and weeks. And credit to Vance Johnson, taking control and changing things when he needed to, when the team needed it most. And why was I wrong about this pick? Part of it is because I didn't lend enough credence to Von Miller going public with what he was saying. This is a guy who doesn't normally speak out like this before games. He's not one to try and drum up attention if not needed, and his comments just kind of drifted by, and I didn't take them for how important they were. He's doing some leadership. Obviously, some leadership is going on now in the locker room because the defense came out and just destroyed the Cardinals. It really exposed them as a team but before they were, the other thing that was too much ignored by my part is 1-5. Teams are 1-5 for a reason. And even though they were, keeping it close against these tougher opponents, losing's losing. And in the end, it was just a matter of time before a team blew them up like the Denver just did and exposed everything that was wrong with it. And oh my, is there things wrong with the Arizona Cardinals. The offensive line was atrocious. Even Pugh was out. We didn't know that he was going to be out because he was questionable and he had some sort of cast, but no one really knew how bad it was until right before the game. So the offensive line was banged up and vulnerable, and Denver just took control right away, and pick 6 right off the bat. And the initial one was batted at the line, so it didn't really feel like Rosen's fault. And then the onslaught just continued. At the end of the day, Von Miller had 2 sacks for 2 forced fumbles. Chubb has a sack and a forced fumble. And then 3 picks on the defense. It was ridiculous. They turned the ball over 6 times. It was painful to watch at a point as well, where Josh Rosen got beat down so bad and looked so uncomfortable after a point. Every time they touched him, the ball came out, it seemed like. And even when they were getting blown out at the end, the coach just kept sending them out on the field. And I know you want to get them reps, but I don't know if that situation is the best time to get your rookie reps, where you're getting blown out and there's a bunch of angry dudes on the defensive side of the ball just lighting him up over and over and over. And, people were texting me during this time saying, he's going to get hurt. He's going to get hurt. And then, at the end of the game, he walked off with a wobbly ankle. So I don't know. Well, after this game, Josh Rosen's got PTSD. He went through some traumatic stress for sure, and I don't know if he's going to be able to recover from this because his start was, good, but not great. He coming out of college, he's putting up the same kind of numbers as JT Barrett, who's a practice squad player on the Saints. So Josh Rosen has never really been special as a quarterback, I would say, and we're seeing him take baby steps, and then my assumption was he was going to continue to take these baby steps, but oh no, he met the Denver Broncos D, and they officially welcomed him to the NFL in the worst way possible. I don't know that he ever recovers from this. He might be a bust now. He may be a bust now. I think next time that he sees real pressure, he's going to be gun-shy, Not as gun-shy as, say, Brian Greasy chucking the ball over his head and going into the fetal position. But I do think that this game is going to negatively impact his growth, and I don't expect to see a good game from Josh Rosen next week. I think the Broncos broke him. Outright. And congratulations from Denver for turning your team around and getting your shit together, because it looked like a different football team. Denver's running misdirections, trick plays, looked like a whole different offense. Phillip Lindsay, he did what we thought he'd do, 14 carries for 90 yards, 6.4 average. Just nice. And Emmanuel Sanders getting it done again, 6 catches for 102 yards and a touchdown. And he threw for a touchdown as well. So I was, all that said, I was way off with my picks. At the time, Denver was playing so terrible, and it seemed like Arizona was just almost there in a few games. But this game really showed you that I have Arizona down as only the Titans beneath them at this point. I'd be surprised if they win another game on the way out. I don't know what their schedule looks like toward the end, but they would have to play somebody pretty terrible to beat them. And that's pretty much how Monday night went. It was a whipping. 45-10 was the final score. Denver Broncos now 3-4. Arizona now 1-6. So did not go well for Arizona at home, and it did not go under like the trend said it always did. And I think that's what we got caught up on. Even after I said aloud, let's not get caught up too much in these trends. They wiggle their way down into your brain. So as far as the upcoming games that we didn't get to yet, we're going to look at all the 4 o'clock and beyond games now. So the first one on that list is New Orleans versus Baltimore. Baltimore at home, and Baltimore's got, arguably the best defense in the whole NFL. So a tall order for Drew Brees. The other things going against the Saints are Drew Brees isn't that great on the road. Doesn't throw the ball that great outside. And all these things are about to happen. Baltimore 4-2. They've been winning. Saints 3-1 or 4-1. So it's really the thing that jumps out is Baltimore's defense is the first thing you think about. It really doesn't matter who's coming to town. It's Baltimore at home with their defense as it currently is, and they're coming off a game where they set a franchise record with 11 sacks on Marcus Mariota. They and it was a shutout, 21-0 as well. And that says a lot to not even allow a team into field goal range. It doesn't happen often in the NFL these days, even with a team as terrible as Tennessee. So let's look at some of these trends here, or maybe let's do the injuries first here. Let's look at New Orleans. A.J. Klein, linebacker, is upgraded to probable. Larry Warford, questionable. He's the guard. Manti Te'o, he's upgraded to probable, but I heard he was out. I heard they had to bring guy up from the practice squad in preparation for Manti Te'o being out, but he could play. He's probable now. And then Marshawn Lattimore is he's questionable. And that's with a concussion. So I believe we could see him come back and play, depending on how bad that concussion was. And then Taylor Stallworth, the D tackle, he's questionable also. On Baltimore's side of the ball, Brandon Carr, cornerback, is questionable. Alex Lewis, guard, is doubtful. Marlon Humphrey, cornerback, questionable. Anthony Averett, questionable. So you got some guys banged up on Baltimore's secondary. They're cornerback light, but it really hasn't stopped them from getting it done. So trends, New Orleans is 4-2 against the spread in the last 6, and 4-1 straight up in the last 5. It's gone over in 6 of the last 8. I guess I didn't even talk about what the numbers, the spread was here. So it's Baltimore minus 2.5 at home, and 49.5 is the over/under. And currently, 53% of the money's on New Orleans. Everyone likes that 2.5. I like that 2.5 looking at it. And 64% of the money on the over. The Bovada money line looks like it's minus 135 Baltimore, plus 115 Saints. So that line, 2.5. It's interesting because there's a lot of negative things going against Drew Brees statistically in his past that want us to shy away from saying, yeah, Drew Brees is going to perform well on the road against one of the best defenses in the NFL. But we did see their secondary is banged up quite a bit. That's a good sign. The other downside for the Saints is they're a run-oriented football team at the core of what they're doing. And the Ravens are lights out against the run. Do I think that means Kamara can't get things going? No. Kamara's gonna get it going regardless. Even against this great defense, he's gonna get yards. He's crazy. So they got that going on. And then another interesting tidbit about this game is Drew Brees has beat every other team in the NFL except for the Ravens. He's 0-4 against them. And if you play video games, there's a mode in almost every video game called Conquest or Domination. And you have to assemble your team and then go around and beat every team in the league. And it's time-consuming, and it takes forever, and it's a pain in the ass. And Drew Brees is about to do it in real life. That is insane. That is insane. And I would love to see it happen. And just the fact that this is on the line, I'm gonna have to find a way to go with Drew on this because I want to see this storyline happen, and I want to put good juju out there in the universe behind Drew Brees to win this game and complete the cycle, beat every single team. That would be insane, and not a more deserving guy, honestly. So, straight up head-to-head, New Orleans scores more points, almost 10 more a game. They pass for more yards. They rush for more yards. Baltimore controls the clock better, and they run more plays. New Orleans almost averages almost 2 yards more a play, a yard and a half more a play, which is a lot. But that's going to be really put to the test. That's going to be put to the test against this Baltimore D. I think in this game we're going to really see how good New Orleans offense actually is and how good Baltimore's team really is. Because if Joe Flacco can put it together and he can go down and put up points on the Saints, who their defense isn't great, but it's not terrible. And if they stomp the Saints at home, that'll be a statement win for the Ravens. Absolutely. I think this is a big game, a bigger game for Baltimore than it is New Orleans. But but I don't think that'll have any effect on New Orleans' offense. I think they're going to put up points regardless because Drew Brees is just he's too nice these days. He's too nice these days, and I don't know that Baltimore's secondary is going to be able to shut it all down, and Kamara as well. Like Kamara's the thing that, you know, really he's the X factor in this, where he can take it to the house anytime he touches it. It's Tyreek Hill-like qualities. So he's always going to keep the Saints in it. And then, you know, not only him, you have Drew Brees. So with those two, you're going to be in every game regardless of the competition, I feel like. And just that Baltimore's offense isn't really, I wouldn't call it potent. That's for sure. So, that said, and trying to find a way to bet on Drew Brees here, I like him plus 2.5. Honestly, even on the road, I like New Orleans having points. That's good. And 49.5. I think it might be a bit high. I don't know if Baltimore's going to blow up New Orleans' defense with authority. If they're going to come down and, you know, put up 3 touchdowns on him. But 50 points, it's right in the we got 64% on the money on the over. There's not much on the under on this one. So it's a lot of people taking about as many people are taking Baltimore on the over, but no one's on the under. We have 36% of the money on the under. And in this, I think we shouldn't, learning my lesson from Thursday night's game, I'm not going to buck the trend. We're going to go with the trend on this one on the over. And I'm going to say we'll do 50 on the over. And that's at 49.5. And then I'm going to take Drew Brees to cover and win for 50 apiece. Like I said, to put some good juju toward making this accomplishment happen. I think it would be amazing and be an amazing story, and it'd be fun for everybody to watch. So if you're betting for your power bill or for your phone bill, you should never make a bet like I just did. You should never base it on witchcraft or fan nonsense. That every time I don't watch, they win, and every time I watch, they lose. That kind of thinking. That's ridiculous. But for fun here, I like to throw 50 at Drew to make this epic story happen. Good on you, guy. Go get it done. I'll throw 100 at that. And then we took the safe over bet. So if it goes under, Baltimore wins, so be it. And Drew Brees will be 0-5 against Baltimore, and it won't be meant to happen. But I think this could be the year of Drew Brees, and so let's go, Boudries. Let's go, Boudries, and let's do this domination. Let's do this conquest. Let's complete it. You'll get a top tier pack of cards to open, probably with pink diamonds in it after this. So let's get it done, boy. For our next game, let's check out Dallas and Washington. And this is an interesting game because I have these two teams right next to each other as far as quality of football team. It's the 3-3 Cowboys coming in to play the 3-2 Redskins at home. The Redskins are favored by a point, and the over-under is 41.5. Bovada has the money line, minus 120 Redskins, and even for the boys. So everyone has this game straight up. 60% of the money's on Washington, 65% on the over. And I tend to think the over as well. I think Zeke will get it going in this game. The Cowboys, if we're talking about the Cowboys, their defense, easily top 5 defense in the NFL. You can put them even in the top 2 or 3 conversation as well. After we have enough data on them now to know that they're for real and they're the real deal. Dallas's offensive line is legit. And there was a couple plays I saw last week with Zeke where it looked so fast and powerful. So a couple of those run plays looked absolutely unstoppable. And I think as they start we're getting into the meat of the season here where teams are going to start to hit their stride. And I definitely can see the Cowboys hitting their stride. Dallas has gone under, the total has gone under in 8 of Dallas's last 10 games. The total has gone under in 5 of Dallas's last 5 games on the road. They're 5-2 against the spread in last 7 when playing Washington, and 8-15 against the spread in the last 23 games when playing Washington. Dallas is 6-1 straight up in the last 7 when playing Washington, and the total has gone over in 5 of Dallas's last 5 when playing Washington. Dallas is 4-1 against the spread in the last 5 when playing on the road against Washington, and 5-0 straight up in the last 5 when playing on the road against Washington. So some of these trends say a lot, especially 5-0 straight up in the last 5 when playing on the road against Washington. That means, and it's been the same coaches here for a good portion of those years, where Garrett's got Gruden's number. It looks like. Let's look at the Washington trends, though. The total has gone under in 7 of Washington's last 9. Washington is 5-1 against the spread in the last 6 at home. 5-1 straight up in its last 6 games at home. It's gone under in 5 of Washington's last 6 at home. Washington is 15-8 against the spread in the last 23 games when playing Dallas. 2-5 against the spread in the last 7 games when playing Dallas. Washington is 1-6 straight up in its last 7 playing Dallas. Total has gone over in 5 of Washington's last 5 games when playing Dallas. Washington's 1-4 against the spread in its last 5 when playing at home against Dallas, and 0-5 straight up in the last 5 when playing home against Dallas. And I just reread some of those because it's just the mirror opposite. But it doesn't look good for Washington based on the trends. Injuries on Dallas's side. Sean Lee is actually probable against Washington. Dallas also has the Flying Dutchman in there, so they're good. They're good at LB. Tavon Austin's been downgraded to doubtful with a groin injury. So that could be a huge hurt on the Dallas. They don't have very many weapons, wide receiver, and Tavon Austin would have been good to have back. Datone Jones, D-end, is out indefinitely, and Joe Thomas is questionable. Joe Thomas, the linebacker, is questionable for Sunday. Washington's injuries. Sean Laval, guard, is questionable. Chris Thompson, running back, is questionable. Jamison Crowder, wide receiver, is out. He's not going to play Sunday. Brandon Sheff, guard, is questionable. Troy Apke is questionable, safety. Danny Johnson, cornerback, is questionable. So Washington has a few guys banged up here. Nothing major, it looks like. The weather's going to be nice and crisp. So let's break this down a little bit more. I mean, we have Dallas with super D, super offensive line. You got Zeke. Dak, it looks like they've taken the leash off and they're going to let him run, which is, I think, the best thing to give the team the best chance to win, but maybe not the best thing for Dak long term. Better get to know that backup's name in Dallas. Who's that backup quarterback in Dallas? What's his name? So Dallas is going to come ready to play. It seems like they figured some things out on offense and what they want to do a little bit more. That said, Washington has a good offense too. They run a lot of motion, a lot of interesting. They have an interesting offense. It's a little more complicated and a little more trickery than Dallas runs. Dallas's offense is very straightforward, but I don't know if that's going to be enough to fool Dallas's number one defense. I think Alex Smith is going to have a tough time back in there, trying to avoid the Dallas pass rush. And Zeke, I mean, he's going to be too much. Zeke's always going to be too much, but I think he's especially too much on this game. So that said, my money's on Dallas +1 for, and I like this one for 100 because I really think Dallas is going to get it going here. And then 41.5 on the over-under. I like that over for 50. And straight up, well, I mean, I guess we got to go Dallas straight up too, and I'm going another 100 on Dallas to win straight up. Okay, and just trying to think if there's any other relevant info that would sway us more toward thinking Washington was going to win this. I mean, what are potentially missing that could happen where Washington wins this? I mean, Alex Smith could just come out and play lights out, or they could shut Zeke down. I don't know. I don't see those things happen. I think we're pretty good with going with Zeke. He's gonna have a good game against Washington's line. So the next game is the Rams versus the Niners, and the Rams are going into San Francisco, and they're favored by 9.5. San Francisco's a 9.5 home dog. This game actually came out at 11. So it's interesting that they've dropped the line because you got 55% of the money on the Rams and the over under 52. And then 68% of the money's on the over. And 52 is a good number for this game, but it's going over. There's going to be points here. That kind of action where we opened at -11 and then we've moved down to under 10 makes me feel like Vegas knows that the Rams are going to kick the shit out of them and that they're just dropping that number to try and get more money on San Fran, which there's a decent amount. There's 45% of people thinking that they got a shot. I don't buy it. I don't buy it at all. The Rams may have Zerline back at kicker. He's upgraded to probable. Michael Brocker's D-end is questionable. Matt Longcray, linebacker, is questionable. And Cooper Kupp is out. He's going to be out for San Francisco for sure. So that is a blow to the Rams because Cooper Kupp's the real deal. And he's a touchdown scorer. On San Francisco's side, Pierre Garçon is probable, and that'll be a big help to San Francisco's offense if he's in there. Jimmy Ward, safety, is questionable. Kwan Williams, cornerback, is questionable. Mike Pearson, center, is questionable. Joshua Garnett, guard, is probable. Akello Witherspoon, cornerback, is questionable. Adrian Colbert is probable, cornerback. Trent Taylor, wide receiver, is questionable, and Dante Pettis, questionable. So San Francisco is really banged up. I mean, we read through 3 or 4 cornerbacks there. There's linebackers out there. Safeties hurt. The whole defense is questionable, and that's not a good sign when you're going to have to face Todd Gurley. The Rams are 3-5-1 against the spread in the last 9, 5-0 straight up in the last 5, and the total has gone over in 8 of the last 12 for the Rams. They're 5-0 straight up in the last 5 on the road, and the total has gone over in 8 of the Rams' last 11 on the road. Rams are 0-5 against the spread in the last 5 games when playing San Fran. Rams are 1-4 straight up in its last 5 games. So some of this info I don't think applies because some of it is pre-McVay. Or pre-McVay really having full controls and having implemented his team. So I would say, we can only really look at this year and last year. And the total has gone under in 4 of the Rams' last 5 games when playing on the road. So on San Fran's side, they're 1-5 straight up in the last 6. And this is another one where they're a terrible team. They're a terrible team. They're going to lose. They're going to lose and lose and lose. They did almost beat Green Bay, but I don't think Green Bay is that great of a team. San Francisco got beaten by the Titans. Let that sink in. San Francisco is 4-13 straight up in the last 17 games at home. The total has gone over in 5 of San Francisco's last 6 at home. San Francisco is 5-0 against the spread. I mean, I've seen enough on this one. This one isn't very difficult in my mind. I think the Rams smash him. I think they smash him, and I think it's more than 52 points. And, the money line, though, geez. And this is what the Rams are minus 500. So, if I have to bet on that, if I'm taking every bet, which we are doing, then I'm not taking a minus 500 ever. I'm putting it on the plus 350 just in case, and we'll lose the 50. But it's no sweat. So we're going to go plus 350 because there's no way we're taking the minus 500 bet. But we will take plus 350. So we're going to take San Fran straight up for plus 350 for $50. And then I'm going to put 100 on the Rams to cover. And that's minus 9.5. Sorry if you hear me clicking here. I'm actively typing these down. And like I said before, I'm coming to these decisions as we go over it. I don't have any preloaded information where I've decided beforehand and just looking over all the information and then deciding as we go along with it. And then the over is 52, and I like 100 on the over too. I think the Rams smash. I think the Donald and Donkey Kong in there, have fun with that, Beat Hard. Beat Hard is going to get beat the fuck hard by Donald and Donkey Kong. You just watch. I think that's all that is there. We put 100 on the Rams to cover and 100 on the over and 50 on San Fran. So if we win with San Fran, if San Fran somehow miracle wins this, we'll get quite a nice payout on our 50 from our plus 350. But if things go according to plan, we should come up on the cover and the over. So the next game is Cincinnati and KC. And this is not another one where, we don't even have to go over it too much because, all right, let's look here. Cincinnati's 4-2 somehow, and then the Chiefs are 5-1 at home. Chiefs are favored -6, and the over/under is 58. Bovada has it plus 210 Cincinnati, -250 Kansas City. And this is strange to me that they don't think this is going to be much of a ass whooping as I do. I don't think Cincinnati's got anything. They're coming off a terrible loss last week, just crushing one where you lose right at the end. That's not good for morale. And Kansas City lost too, but we all know what that was. And they used that, I think, as motivation. Not only did that let them know that they're the best team in football, but that that they can hang with the top tier and that they do have a chance for a championship run, but that it's going to take some focus and some work. So I think the loss in New England to Kansas City was perfect for them because they're not undefeated anymore and they don't have any of that hoopla, and that checked them. They're gonna I think really start rolling here. Especially they're all new. The trio is new. Mahomes, Tyreek, and Hunt, and all those guys. They've only been playing together this year so far. So it's just going to get better and better. We can look at some of these trends. I'm obviously hot for KC, but let's give a quick once-over anyways. Giovanni Bernard out for Cincinnati. Sean Williams, safety, is questionable. Tyler Eifert, injured reserve. Darquez Denard, cornerback, doubtful. Tyler Croft, tight end, doubtful. Nick Vigil, linebacker, doubtful. Cedric Ogbueh, tackle, doubtful. John Ross, probable, wide receiver. They're banged up on Cincinnati. They got a lot of guys out. A lot more guys on IR that I didn't read through. Eric Berry's not going to be back. And Houston is questionable. Justin Houston will be a big return for KC because they need help, as much help as they can get on defense. Mitch Morse, center, is questionable. Eric Murray, cornerback, is questionable. Tano Spaganon is questionable, linebacker. Man, that's a weird last name. K-P-A-S-S-A-G-N-O-N. That is a mouthful. Let's look at Cincinnati's trends, because their trends, I think, will be a little more important to me than Kansas City's. The total has gone under in 5 of Cincinnati's last 6 games when playing on the road against Cincinnati. Or Kansas City. Jeez. Cincinnati's 3-6 straight up in the last 9 when playing on the road against Kansas City. The total has gone under in 8 of Cincinnati's last 10 when playing Kansas City. So what we can garner from that is that Cincinnati plays good defense against KC, but it's not this KC team. They played good defense against the Alex Smith KC team. And that's what I mean. Some of these trends aren't even valid because this is a whole new beast for Kansas City. There's nothing in the trends that tells us about Patrick Mahomes and how he's just going to get loose with it. Because Cincinnati's defense is not great. I can't believe they're only favored by 6. I love it. I love Kansas City by 6. 58. That seems a little high. I don't know that we're necessarily going to hit 58 in this game. I think it could be 33-10 or something, or something along those lines, or 35-14. So I'm maybe liking the under on this. More to the point we're making yesterday too, that I think Vegas is changing some of these unders to try and accommodate these new high scores. So for 58, I like 50 on the under because I'm not sure about that. It could go over 58, but that's a wild game. That'll be a fun game to watch if it goes over 58. The spread is -6. And I like KC for 100. I'm just sticking to 100 or 50 on all these, but I like KC for 500 on that one. or a G-Lo. I mean, for me, Kansas City just smashes this game. And then I like Kansas City straight up for another 100, minus 250. Minus 250 is a little tall, but, I'm with it. So to recap, we got KC straight up for minus 250 for 100. We got 100 for them to cover, minus 6. And we got 50 on the under to go under 58 points. The money's all on 60% on KC, 64% on the over is where the money currently sits. So, and then plus, we're starting to get toward that time of the year where Kansas City just doesn't lose at home. We're getting there, and I can't see any way that Cincinnati goes into Kansas City and keeps this game to a field goal. I mean, this one, I feel like this is more of a lock than the Rams against the Niners almost. But only time will tell. The NFL's crazy, as we all know. So coming up on our last game, the Monday night, it's the New York Giants against the Atlanta Falcons at home. And this is – the Giants have been exposed for a while now. They're garbage. They don't have anything redeeming qualities. Some people are still, on board with the Giants. I don't know why. I don't know why you think they're going to get better or Odell will resume his previous form. That shit's not going to happen ever. Giants are 1-5. And now this is what I was talking about. Like, I strayed when I put money on Arizona and they're a 1-5 team, and it serves me right. Even though that Atlanta is a 2-4 team, this is the same scenario as Denver and Arizona, where if the Giants season's already over, they suck. So if they lose, they're 1-6, no big deal. If Atlanta wins, they're 3-4. If they lose, they're 2-5, and that's unacceptable. Their season's over then. So I imagine that they're going to have some Von Miller-like talks in the locker room, and the coaches are going to really rally them hard for this game because you win, you're 3-4, you're a game out of 500, and things are almost okay again. But Atlanta does have one of the worst defenses in the whole NFL, in my opinion. They are garbage upon garbage. And you're going to have Saquon Barkley running at those. So that could be interesting. Let's look at the injuries real quick here. On Giants, Rhett Ellison, the tight end, is questionable. Russell Shepard, wide receiver, is questionable Monday versus Atlanta. And Evan Ingram the tight end, is upgraded to probable. Other than that, not so bad for the Giants personnel-wise. I mean, they're missing a few guys. But Atlanta, Matt Bryant, the kicker, is downgraded to doubtful. So that could be a big deal. Good kickers are in demand these days. Derek Shelby, the D-end, is questionable. Mohamed Sanu is upgraded to probable. That's big. Sanu catches balls and Sanu catches touchdowns. Jack Crawford, defensive end, is probable or questionable. Grady Jarrett, D-tackle, questionable. So, lastly, the most important, Calvin Ridley, is upgraded to probable. So Calvin Ridley is important. He's got an ankle problem, but he's been a touchdown machine. So these D linemen that are banged up on Atlanta are, it's a little bit worrisome for their depth and health, especially when facing Saquon, because head-to-head, Atlanta scores more points and passes for more, but New York runs the ball back. I mean, New York, looking at New York's stats is horrifying. You look and you don't trust your eyes for a minute when you see certain numbers, and then you go, oh, geez, they're not doing anything well. So I'm not too worried about Atlanta losing this game in any event. And I don't think the Giants have anything inside to them that keeps it within 4 points either. The over-under 54, that's a more interesting number, and that's the toughest pick of this, I think. So just quickly getting the first part out of the way, I like 100 on Atlanta. I don't think the Giants have another win in them. I don't know where it comes from. Eli's trash. Unless that win comes from bubble screens and dump offs, or Saquon rushes and receives for 400 yards of total offense. I don't know how they get it done. And then and then the money line is Atlanta minus 200, Giants plus 170. So I like Atlanta also straight up minus 200. And I would put another 100 on that straight up. So as far as the over-under, 54. Now what do we see here? How many times is Saquon really gonna bust out and take it to the house? Maybe one catching. Let's say best case scenario for the Giants, which would be Odell gets one and Saquon gets one rushing, one passing, or one receiving. So that would be 21, and we'll give him a field goal, 24. So Atlanta, I feel like, puts up way more than 24 points. I feel like, Calvin Ridley gets 2, Julio gets 1, and then they have another 2 rushing. I think Atlanta puts up 5 touchdowns. So if everything goes according to plan, the Giants will go over. But I don't think that's going to be the case. They're trash. They're especially trash on offense, rather, where, and it's a shame too, but it is kind of exciting to see Saquon Barkley excel in that situation. It's satisfying because it's reminiscent of Barry Sanders, new school Barry. Shout out Saquon Barkley, fucking getting it done with nothing. And all of us that see that respect that. So that kid just does him, and if he keeps putting up like he's putting up, he'll always be considered, the top tier because he is. He's astounding. But I think Saquon gets the 2, and I don't think Odell gets his 1. And but maybe let's take this back because Atlanta's pass defense is terrible. It's just absolutely terrible. But Eli is absolutely terrible. And that's what it really comes down to me. I have zero faith in Eli to do anything positive. Unless they turn it over and he starts inside the 20, he's not going to go down and score. Not without Saquon's help. So I see max. So 35-17. What's that? That's 45, and then that'd be 52, and that's under. I'm taking the under again. We're taking a bunch of under games this week, and we're going to see what happens with this. And I'm going to see how this plays out. I might do later tomorrow just a little recap of all the picks, just in a little quick 15 minutes. So you don't have to go through 4 hours of me talking to get to all the information. We might just do a little cliff notes where compile it all together for you guys. But I hope that going through these picks garnered you guys some insights into these games and gave you some ideas about how you wanted to bet one way or another. And I'm not a handicapping guru or anything like that, but I just like talking through and picking these games because I feel like I like looking at the data and I like watching the games. And so the more you look at the data and the more you understand, the more it's you want to make a pick. And then if you're going to pick it, you might as well put some money on it. I mean, shit. You can go all the way there and not fuck. We're ready. We have all the info. Let's throw a little bit of money down on it. But I'm having fun doing the picks, and I hope you guys enjoy, and I hope they help you out with your own decision-making. And we'll be doing maybe another quick episode, but other than that, everyone just needs to enjoy the games, and I won't be putting out another one until Tuesday where we review what went down with all this stuff. So have a good Saturday watching college football and Sunday watching the NFL. And for all you NBA people out there too, NBA's exciting so far. But anyways, I'm out for the weekend, so thanks again if you made it all the way through. I really do appreciate it. Hit that subscribe, smash that like, hit that bell button. Everything helps. I'm out.